We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca's words hit hard because they're true. My friends, how many nights have you stared at your phone, seeing no calls, no messages, and thought to yourself, they've forgotten me, I meant nothing to them? That fear feels so real. But here's the thing, it's a lie. Silence doesn't always mean you've been erased. In fact, silence can be the loudest sign that you're still on their mind. Hey folks, imagine this. You drop a stone into still water. The ripples move outward on their own. You don't need to keep throwing rocks to see movement. That's what's happening in their mind right now. The last time you spoke, the last meaningful interaction you had, that was the stone. And now, even though you can't see it, the ripples are spreading quietly in their thoughts. During the day, sure, they're busy. They've got people to talk to, things to do, noise to hide behind. But late at night, when the lights are off and the world slows down, that's when the mind starts replaying the moments you shared. The conversations, the smiles, the way you made them feel. Here's the lie most people believe. If they cared, they'd call. But life doesn't work like that. Pride, ego, fear, these things hold people back more than we realize. They might be lying in bed right now, phone in hand, staring at your name on the screen, thinking about you, but not pressing call. And yet, in that silence, you're taking up more space in their thoughts than you ever did when you were constantly around. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the heart of Stoicism, my friends. We can't control if they call, but we can control our own response. And the truth is, chasing them, begging for attention, trying to force connection, that kills mystery. It kills attraction. It kills respect. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. So here's what I want you to do right now. Type in the comments, "Let silence do the work," because that's exactly what's happening. And as you're typing that, remember, your worth was never tied to whether or not they pick up the phone. You are building a life so powerful, so meaningful, that whether they come back or not, you win. So press that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay with me, because in this video, we're breaking down exactly why their silence doesn't mean you're forgotten. In fact, it's proof you're still echoing in their thoughts every single night. Stay calm, stay powerful, stay legendary. Number 1, distance ignites reflection. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Marcus Aurelius wrote that centuries ago, but it feels like he was speaking to us right now. Because when they go silent, when the phone doesn't ring, when the messages stop coming, that fear in your chest starts whispering lies. They've moved on. They've forgotten you. You didn't matter. It's a brutal feeling, my friends. But the truth? That silence might be the clearest sign that you're still echoing in their mind. Imagine dropping a single stone into perfectly still water. You don't need to throw 100 stones to see ripples, just one. And that's how it works in their thoughts too. The last meaningful interaction you had, the final conversation, the way you carried yourself when you walked away calmly instead of begging, that was the stone. Right now, even though you can't see it, the ripples are spreading. During the day, sure, they're distracted. They've got people to talk to, work to do, shows to binge, noise to drown out their thoughts. But late at night, when the world gets quiet, when they're lying in the dark staring at the ceiling, that's when the mind stops running and starts remembering. You might be asking yourself, if they're thinking about me, why don't they just call? That's where ego and pride sneak in. The human mind is strange. It can miss someone deeply while also being terrified of looking weak. They're fighting that silent war, the battle between wanting to hear your voice and wanting to protect their pride. And you, sitting on the other end, feel like you've been erased. But here's the truth you need to let sink in. Silence is not rejection. Sometimes silence is proof of how much someone is thinking about you. People don't lose sleep over those who meant nothing to them. They don't lie awake at 2 in the morning replaying conversations with people they've forgotten. If you're still in their thoughts at night, that's not emptiness. That's emotional processing. That's them questioning, reflecting, wondering if letting you go was the right call. And this is where most people make the mistake that costs them everything. They panic. They interrupt that natural process by reaching out, by sending that late-night text, by forcing contact just to soothe their own anxiety. But every time you do that, you pull up the stone you just dropped. You cut short the ripples that were spreading in their mind on their own. Marcus Aurelius also said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Right now, you have a choice. You can spend your nights living in fear of what they're thinking, or you can use this time to sharpen your mind, strengthen your purpose, and focus on the life you're building. Because here's the paradox. When you stop worrying about whether they'll call, that's often the exact moment when they do. Think about it like this. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You water it, you give it space, and you trust the process. That's what silence is. It's the soil. Your last interaction, your calmness, your presence, that was the seed. If you constantly dig it up by chasing them, you kill the growth that would have happened naturally. And yes, it's difficult. Sitting in silence is hard. It feels like rejection. It makes you question your worth. It makes you wonder if you mattered at all. But that's why Stoicism is so powerful, because it teaches us that our strength comes not from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. Epictetus said it best. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This is your moment to respond differently than most people would. Most men crumble here. They let fear dictate their actions. They send that desperate message. They beg for attention. And in doing so, they kill the mystery, the attraction, and ultimately their own peace. But you're not like most men. You're learning to sit with the discomfort, to hold your ground, to let them wrestle with their own thoughts while you focus on becoming stronger. So here's what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment below and type "Patience builds power," because that's exactly what you're practicing, patience. And in that patience, you're letting the natural emotional process unfold. You're not interrupting it. You're not panicking. You're showing yourself and everyone around you that your worth isn't dependent on a phone call. Because when you master patience, you master attraction. You shift from chasing to allowing. You become the kind of person who doesn't just wait for someone to realize your value. You live in a way that makes your value undeniable. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to go even deeper into the quiet moments that matter the most. The moments late at night, when the world goes still, and their mind starts looping you back in over and over again. Number 2, the power of midnight thoughts. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca said this centuries ago, yet it feels like he was talking about moments just like this. Because when you're lying in bed at night staring at the ceiling, your mind starts running wild. You picture them laughing with someone else, forgetting you, moving on without a second thought. But my friends, the truth is often the opposite. Silence during the day doesn't mean silence at night. It's at night, when there are no distractions, no noise, no endless notifications, that their mind becomes the loudest, and that's when you show up in their thoughts more than ever. Picture it. They've spent the day busy, scrolling, talking, pretending to be fine. Maybe they laughed with friends. Maybe they posted something on social media to look unbothered. But now, the lights are off. The phone is on the nightstand. The world has gone quiet. And suddenly, memories start creeping in. The sound of your voice, the look in your eyes, the little moments that didn't seem big at the time, but now feel heavy. Their heart remembers, even if their pride keeps their hands still. This is where the mind becomes a looping reel. That last conversation, that final smile you gave when you walked away calmly, not in anger, not begging, but simply in control of yourself. The way you didn't crumble, even though you could have. The way you respected yourself enough to give space instead of chasing. These are the things that echo loudest in the dark. And guess what? You're part of that loop. Here's the lie people tell themselves. If they cared, they'd reach out. If they don't text, they don't think of me. But life isn't that simple. Pride is a powerful guard. Ego stands like a wall between what someone feels and what they allow themselves to show. They could be lying there, phone in hand, fingers hovering over your name, and still not press call. Not because you don't matter, but because they're fighting their own inner war. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That wisdom applies here. You don't waste your nights imagining what they're thinking. You don't spend your energy trying to guess if they'll call. You focus on being the man who is calm, disciplined, and centered, no matter who shows up or who stays silent. Because real power isn't in forcing their attention. It's in knowing your value without needing their validation. Think about the human mind for a second. Have you ever had someone pop into your head at 2 a.m., someone you haven't spoken to in months, maybe years? You don't even know why. You just suddenly remember them. That's exactly how it works for them too. At night, without distractions, the brain naturally drifts back to unresolved emotions, unfinished stories, meaningful connections. And if you left an impression, if you lived with presence, if you walked away without bitterness but with strength, you're going to resurface in their thoughts again and again. But this is where most people fail. They can't handle the silence. They feel that fear in their chest and think, if I just send a message, I'll feel better. If I just call, maybe they'll realize I'm still here. But that destroys the very process that's working in your favor. It's like planting a seed and digging it up every day to see if it's growing. You never give it a chance to take root. A Stoic man doesn't panic. He doesn't let his imagination run wild and destroy his peace. He understands that life has its natural rhythms. There are cycles of closeness and distance. Just like the ocean has tides, human connection moves in waves. And when you chase in a moment that's meant for stillness, you go against the tide and lose the flow that would have brought them back naturally. So when their mind loops back to you at night, because it will, you're not supposed to interrupt it. You're supposed to let it happen. You're supposed to trust that your presence, your calm energy, your decision to not chase is exactly what makes you unforgettable. Because what lingers isn't the text you could have sent. It's the memory of the man you are. This doesn't mean it's easy. It takes strength to sit in the quiet. It takes discipline to hold your frame when everything inside you wants to break it. But this is the difference between being controlled by your emotions and mastering them. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And right now, bravery is choosing not to give in to the urge to chase. Bravery is letting silence do what words cannot. I want you to think about this for a second. Right now, while you're watching this, there's a good chance they're lying in bed somewhere, staring at the ceiling, fighting the same battle in their mind. They're thinking about you, even if they won't admit it, and every night that passes without you reaching out, that emotional weight grows. That's the beauty of patience. It builds power quietly. So here's your affirmation for tonight. Type in the comments, "Calm is my power," because that's what you're choosing. You're choosing strength over desperation. You're choosing patience over panic. You're choosing to let the natural process unfold instead of trying to control what was never yours to control. And stay with me, because next we're going to talk about the real war going on inside them, the push and pull between pride and heart. That inner conflict is where most people get stuck, and understanding it will show you exactly why staying calm and silent is the most powerful move you can make. Number 3, ego stays quiet, heart speaks loudly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius's words cut deep here, because this moment, the silence, the stillness, the waiting, feels like a test you never asked to take. My friends, here's the reality. Their ego is holding the phone still, but their heart is busy replaying the moments you shared. That's the war happening inside them right now, the push and pull between pride and longing. Imagine two voices inside their head. One is loud, sharp, protective. It says, "Don't text first, don't look weak, don't let them know you miss them." That's ego talking. It stands like a guard at the door, desperate to protect pride at all costs. But then there's another voice, quieter, softer, more honest. It whispers memories. It plays back that last smile you gave, the comfort of your presence, the way you made them feel safe, seen, valued. That's their heart speaking, and even if they never admit it out loud, that voice is louder than you realize. This inner battle is exhausting, and it's the reason why silence doesn't always mean disinterest. If anything, the longer they hold back, the more that tension grows. Pride tells them to wait, but their heart keeps pulling them back to you, especially at night when the world goes still. You become part of that quiet loop in their mind, not because they planned it, but because real connection doesn't fade easily. Here's where so many people ruin everything. They panic. They think, if I just send a message, I'll break the ice. If I just remind them I'm still here, maybe they'll let their guard down. But by doing that, you take away the one thing that makes you powerful, your calm presence. You give them relief from the very tension that's building their desire to reach out. Marcus Aurelius told us not to waste time arguing about what a good man should be. Just be one. And that's what this moment calls for. You don't sit there overthinking every possible move, wondering what text might spark a response. You don't try to outplay their ego. You simply live your life with dignity, control, and purpose. Because a man who knows his value doesn't beg for attention, he commands it by how he carries himself. Picture this. It's midnight. They're lying in bed scrolling aimlessly, but everything feels hollow. That playlist you once shared starts playing. A photo pops up in their memories, one from a time you both laughed so hard it hurt. Their fingers hover over your name, ready to type something. But then ego steps in like a brick wall. No, don't look desperate. Let them message first. They put the phone down. But the feeling? It doesn't go away. In fact, it only grows. This is where you win, by doing nothing. Not because you're playing a game, but because you're respecting yourself enough to not chase what's already thinking about you. You see, a man grounded in Stoicism knows that life unfolds in cycles. Just like the moon has phases, human connection has its tides. And if you try to force the tide to rise when it isn't ready, You'll only exhaust yourself and ruin the natural flow. The truth is, silence isn't something to fear. It's something to respect. It's a sign that something deeper is happening beneath the surface, even if you can't see it yet. They're not calling, but they're remembering. That last conversation, the way you looked at them when you walked away calmly, the way you didn't beg or crumble under uncertainty, those moments echo louder than any text you could send right now. And this is where real power comes in. You focus on building yourself, not because it will make them miss you, but because that's what a man of discipline does. You sharpen your mind, strengthen your purpose, live fully, not waiting by the phone, but living like the man you were always meant to be. It's hard, I know. Everything inside you wants to break the silence, to make the discomfort go away. But if you can hold steady, if you can remain calm, you'll not only keep your self-respect intact, you'll also become more magnetic than you've ever been. Because when someone thinks about you and you don't chase, they see you differently. You're no longer the person who would crumble for their attention. You're the man who respects himself enough to let them come to you when they're ready. So here's your reminder right now. Type in the comments, I choose calm, because that's what you're doing. You're choosing calm over chaos. You're choosing patience over panic. You're choosing to let them wrestle with their own pride while you stand firm in your own value. And stay with me, because up next we're going to dive into something powerful, how every single day of silence actually builds emotional weight, like a snowball rolling downhill, and why breaking that process too soon destroys everything you've worked for. Number 4, emotional momentum builds in silence. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius's words couldn't be truer for what's happening right now, because every day that passes without contact, without calls or messages, something powerful is happening. Emotional momentum. It's like a snowball rolling quietly down a hill. At first it's small, barely noticeable, but as it keeps moving, as each day of silence adds to its weight, it becomes impossible to ignore. Most people think that silence kills connection, but the opposite is often true. Silence allows emotions to breathe, to grow, to gain strength. Every night they lie there thinking of you. Every day they hold back from reaching out. That snowball of emotion grows heavier, and the longer they wait, the more powerful the urge becomes. This is where the quiet starts doing the work for you. But this is also the point where most people fail. They panic. They feel the tension and think, I need to do something. I can't just sit here. If I don't call, I'll lose them forever. So they send the message, make the call, try to force the moment before it's ready. And by doing that, they break the very process that was working in their favor. It's like walking uphill and stopping just before you reach the top. All the progress disappears, and the emotional weight you were building collapses. Imagine a snowball halfway down the hill. It's gathering speed, packing tighter, becoming stronger. Now imagine running up the hill to grab it before it reaches the bottom. You don't just stop it, you destroy its momentum completely. That's exactly what happens when you interrupt silence too soon. You remove the tension that was quietly pulling them back toward you. Stoicism teaches us to trust nature's rhythm. Just as a seed takes time to grow roots, emotions take time to fully form. If you dig up the soil too early, you kill the very growth you were waiting for. Silence is that soil. The last meaningful interaction you had, the calm, steady way you carried yourself when you walked away, that was the seed. And right now, whether you realize it or not, it's growing. Think about it. They're not calling, but each night that passes without you reaching out, that emotional loop in their mind gets heavier. The last words you said, the last look you gave, the way you didn't beg or plead, those memories replay again and again. They might scroll through their phone looking for distractions, but then that empty feeling creeps in, reminding them of what's missing, and with every silent night, that weight grows. Here's the lie we often believe: if I don't act, nothing will happen. But Stoicism reminds us that sometimes inaction is the most powerful action. Patience is not weakness, it's strength. It's choosing to let life unfold without forcing it. Seneca said, "Time discovers truth." And that's exactly what's happening. Time is letting them discover the truth of what they feel for you, without you doing anything at all. But let's be real, it's hard. Waiting in silence feels like standing on the edge of a cliff, wondering if you'll ever get solid ground again. Every part of you wants to break that tension, to relieve the anxiety of not knowing. That's why so many men fail here. They text too soon, they call too soon, they remind the other person that they're still waiting. And when they do that, they take away the very power that made them attractive in the first place. A Stoic man, however, understands that emotional momentum is real. He doesn't let fear dictate his actions. He knows that self-control is the ultimate form of strength. He doesn't see silence as rejection. He sees it as a natural part of the cycle. He trusts that if a connection is real, it doesn't need to be forced. It will return in its own time. Picture them pacing in their mind, asking themselves questions they won't say out loud. Should I call? Should I stay quiet? Did I lose them for good? Every day they hold back from contacting you, that inner debate gets louder. Their ego says no, but their heart keeps pulling them toward yes. That tug of war is exactly what builds the emotional weight that eventually pushes someone to act. So your job isn't to interfere. Your job is to stay steady, to hold your ground, to let the snowball roll on its own while you focus on your life. Because here's the truth, your power isn't in what you do to them. It's in what you build for yourself while you wait. Every day you grow stronger, calmer, more focused. You become harder to forget. You become the man who respects his own time, who doesn't need to chase, who understands that what is real will always find its way back. Right now, I want you to type in the comments, "Patience is strength," because that's exactly what you're practicing, strength disguised as patience. You're letting emotional gravity do its work. You're giving space for the snowball to grow instead of running up the hill to destroy it. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to talk about something even more powerful: how being too available kills desire, while pulling back creates mystery, curiosity, and attraction, stronger than any words you could ever say. Number 5. Scarcity creates value. Familiarity kills desire. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Seneca's words are simple but profound, and they strike at the heart of why pulling back works better than constant chasing. The more available you are, the less you're noticed. It's human nature. When something is always within reach, we start to take it for granted. But when it becomes rare, when it isn't always there to grab, suddenly its value rises. Think about it, my friends. Imagine a beautiful sunset that happens only once a year. You'd plan your day around it. You'd make sure you didn't miss it. You'd treasure every second of it. Now compare that to the sun setting every single day. You still see it, but it's easy to ignore. You might even forget to look up. The exact same thing happens in relationships. When you're always texting, always checking in, always the one to start conversations, you become part of the background, familiar, predictable, easy to tune out. It's not that they're a bad person, it's just how the human mind works. We adapt to what we constantly have. We get used to it, and what we get used to, we stop craving. But when you step back, when you stop being everywhere in their life, when you stop flooding them with attention, something interesting happens. Curiosity begins to grow. Suddenly, you're not the person who always texts first. You're not the one who always shows up when they call. You've created space. And in that space, questions start forming in their mind. Why haven't they texted me? Are they talking to someone else? Did I lose them for good? Those questions don't appear when you're always available, but when you pull back, when you give space, you become a mystery again. And mystery is powerful. Mystery creates a kind of gravity that pulls someone toward you without you doing a thing. This is exactly where most men sabotage themselves. They believe that more presence equals more love. They think, if I keep reminding them I'm here, they'll realize they still care. But it doesn't work that way. Constant reminders kill excitement. They remove the very element that sparks attraction, uncertainty. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." That's not just about life and death. It's about living intentionally. It means not wasting your time chasing approval, validation, or attention. Instead of trying to be in someone's face constantly, you live your life so fully, so purposefully, that your absence speaks louder than your presence ever could. When you stop being predictable, you shift from being an option to being a thought that lingers in their mind. Suddenly, you're not just there, you're missed. You're wondered about, you're thought of when the distractions fade. And that's when they start to feel your absence, not with anger, but with curiosity, with longing, with the quiet realization that you're not as easy to reach anymore. And this is key. Your pulling back isn't about manipulation. It's not a trick. It's self-respect. It's recognizing that your time, your energy, your attention, they have value. And when you give them out too freely, that value drops. But when you reserve them for people who truly earn them, suddenly you become rare. And rare things are always more valuable. Think about your own life. The last time you lost something important, a watch, a letter, a gift, it didn't hit you while you were distracted during the day. It hit you at night when everything was quiet, when your mind finally had time to wander. That's when you thought, wow, I really miss that. I didn't realize how much it meant until it was gone. That's exactly how emotional scarcity works. This is why Stoicism is so powerful. It teaches you to be present but not needy, caring but not desperate. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You can't control whether they call. You can't force them to miss you. But you can control how often you give away your energy, your attention, your presence. And by pulling back, you create space for them to come to you. It's hard, I know. Every part of you wants to stay visible, to stay present, to keep proving your worth. But the truth is, worth isn't proven by constant presence. It's proven by how you carry yourself in absence. When you respect yourself enough to give space, you show that you don't need validation to feel whole. And that kind of energy is magnetic. So here's what I want you to do right now. Type in the comments, "Space creates desire." Let that sink in. Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're creating the kind of space that allows curiosity to grow, that makes someone think about you more, not less. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to go even deeper into why the memories you've created are far more powerful than any message you could ever send, and how those memories resurface louder than any text notification when the world finally goes quiet. Number 6. Memories outweigh messages. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Marcus Aurelius spoke these words long ago, but they fit perfectly in this moment. Because when someone stops calling, it's easy to think that the connection is gone forever. We start believing that unless we send a message, unless we push our way back into their life, we'll be forgotten. But that belief is a lie. The truth is, people can ignore a text, but they can't ignore a memory. Think about it. When was the last time you remembered a text message word for word? Probably never. But you do remember how someone made you feel, their presence, their voice, the way they looked at you, the little details that seemed unimportant at the time, but now stick in your mind forever. That's the power of memory. It lives on long after words disappear. Right now, they're not calling. And yes, that stings. It makes you wonder if you ever mattered to them at all. But here's the thing, even though their phone is quiet, their mind isn't. Late at night, when the noise of the world finally fades, they're not thinking about messages. They're thinking about moments. The time you made them laugh until their stomach hurt. The walk you took together when everything felt calm. The way you left with dignity instead of begging for them to stay. Those things linger far longer than anything you could write in a text. Most people believe that sending the perfect message is what makes someone miss you. They think, if I just say the right thing, they'll remember how much they care. But connection isn't built on clever replies or perfectly timed texts. It's built on presence, on the real experiences you shared when you weren't trying to impress them, but were simply being yourself. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This applies here more than ever. Your job isn't to chase, to remind them of who you are through constant contact. Your job is to live as the man who left a mark deep enough that you don't have to remind them. Because memories do the work for you. Picture this. It's 2 a.m. They're lying in bed. The room's silent, except for the faint hum of their phone charger. They scroll through old photos without meaning to. Suddenly, one of you pops up. Maybe it's a picture they saved months ago. Maybe it's a song you both loved that starts playing. And for a moment, everything stops. They remember, not the messages, not the words, but the way you made them feel. And that feeling hits harder than any text notification ever could. This is why your calm, steady presence matters so much. When you walk away with self-respect, when you don't beg for attention, you leave behind something rare, an impression that grows stronger with time. Instead of trying to force them to think about you, you give them space to feel your absence. And the more they remember how it felt to be with you, the more powerful that absence becomes. But here's where so many people fail. They panic. They think silence means they're being forgotten, so they send that "just checking in" message. They try to restart the conversation, to keep the connection alive artificially. But that kills the natural process. It's like interrupting a dream before it's finished. You don't let the mind wander far enough to feel the full weight of what's missing. A Stoic man understands that what matters isn't what he says now, but what he's already done. He knows that real attraction, real connection, is built on moments, not messages. And he trusts that if he lived with presence, if he was authentic, if he left an impression, then he doesn't have to chase anyone to remind them of it. Think about your own life. The people you still think about late at night aren't the ones who sent you the perfect texts. They're the ones who left a mark on you, who made you feel something real. That's exactly why your absence is louder than your words right now, because feelings don't vanish just because communication stops. And yes, it's difficult. It takes discipline to hold back, to not give in to the urge to remind them you're still around. But every time you resist that urge, you're letting the memory of you grow stronger. You're letting the emotional weight build in their mind naturally. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's the perfect reminder here. Chasing isn't right, and it's not true to who you want to be, a man of calm, quiet strength. The one who knows his worth isn't measured by how quickly someone replies. So here's your affirmation right now. Type in the comments, "Memories speak louder." Because they do. The moments you've already created in their life carry more power than any text you could send today. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to uncover why your calm energy, your ability to hold steady without chasing, is actually speaking louder than any phone call ever could, and why that energy makes you unforgettable even in silence. Number 7, your calm energy speaks louder than any call. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca said it, and it hits especially hard in moments like this, because when the silence stretches on, when the phone stays dark, your imagination starts running wild. You picture them forgetting you, replacing you, moving on without a second thought. But here's the truth. Your calm, your composure, your decision not to chase is speaking louder than any message you could send. Most men panic in this space. They can't handle the quiet. They feel powerless without a text or a call to hold on to, so they break the silence just to feel in control again. But the man who understands his own value, he stays still. He understands that his presence doesn't need constant validation. And that quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself, is what makes him unforgettable. Imagine this. They're lying in bed at night, scrolling through their phone, but nothing feels right. Every conversation feels shallow. Every distraction feels empty. And then their mind drifts back to you. Not because you messaged them, not because you tried to remind them you exist, but because you didn't. Your absence created a space they can't ignore. And that space, it's powerful. Nature hates a vacuum. The moment you pull back, their mind fills it with thoughts of you. Why aren't they calling? Did they move on? Are they happier without me? Those questions grow louder each day you stay calm. Each day you don't fold to the urge to reach out. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that's the key here. Your power isn't in what they do. It's not in whether they pick up the phone. It's in how you carry yourself while they're silent. A man who panics loses his power. A man who stays calm becomes magnetic. This isn't about playing games. It's not about ignoring someone out of spite. It's about self-respect. It's about showing that your peace isn't up for negotiation. Because when you stay centered, when you live your life fully, training, working, building, learning, you stop being someone who waits for a call. You become someone worth calling. Think about it. The people you remember most aren't the ones who begged for your attention. They're the ones who carried themselves with quiet strength, who didn't need you to validate them. That's exactly how you become unforgettable. Not by trying to be everywhere, but by being so grounded, so intentional with your life, that your energy speaks louder than your words. But here's the truth. It's hard. Every part of you wants to break the silence, to feel that temporary relief of a reply. But relief is not power. Relief is fleeting. Power is in restraint. Power is in letting silence do what words cannot. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." And that bravery right now is choosing to be still, choosing to trust that if the connection was real, it will return. Not because you forced it, but because you let it. That's the difference between chasing and attracting. Chasing comes from fear, attracting comes from strength. So here's your final reminder. Stop worrying about whether they'll call. Stop tying your worth to their silence. You are not waiting. You are living. You are building a life so powerful, so meaningful, that whether they pick up the phone or not, you win. Type in the comments right now, "My calm is power." Show it to yourself. Show it to everyone else who needs this message, because that's what makes you different. You're choosing patience, presence, and strength over panic. If this message spoke to you, share it with a brother who needs to hear it, because too many men lose themselves by chasing what's already thinking about them. Remember this, the phone may be silent, but your presence isn't. Your energy, your composure, your decision not to chase is already leaving the loudest impression of all. Stay stoic, stay unshakable, stay legendary.